Welcome back to Catalyst University. My name is Kevin Tokoph. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for future videos and notifications. In this video, we're going to do an example problem with heat capacity, and that's going to use this formula Q equals smΔT, or Q-SMAT as it's sometimes called. Now first, let's read the problem that we're going to be solving. Right, we have 50 grams of water that's being heated from 25 degrees Celsius to 85 degrees Celsius. We want to calculate the heat, or Q, required to achieve this temperature change. All right, so let's visualize what we've got first. This is like if you have a pot of water on a stove and you turn the stove on, and what happens intuitively? Well, we know the water is going to increase in temperature. It's going to get hotter, right? That's because the heat that's coming from the stove, that's literally thermal energy. And that energy is being transferred from the stove heater, the plate, to the water in the pot, and then the water increases in temperature. That's what's going on here, basically, okay? Now, each of these variables, Q is heat, typically going to be given in joules or kilojoules. S is our specific heat of whatever substance we're heating, okay? In this case, we're heating water, and the specific heat's typically going to be given in units of joules per gram per Kelvin, or joules per gram per degree Celsius, okay? In a Q-SMAT problem, either one of these units is fine. As we'll see later on, we actually, in these kind of problems, do not have to convert degrees Celsius to Kelvin. This is an exception to that rule. M is mass, typically given in units of grams, and delta T is our temperature change. And because it's a temperature change, as we'll see later on, again, you do not have to convert these temperatures to Kelvin. Here I've given these temperatures in degrees Celsius, which is actually fine to leave them here that way because we're dealing with a change in temperature, okay? And also the delta T, so coming down here, delta T can be expanded as T2 minus T1. This delta notation, again, is a change, so a change from an initial to a final state. So a delta notation indicates it's the final of that variable, or T2, minus the initial of that variable, T1. We're going to use the second form of this Q-SMAT equation right here. All right, so in terms of this problem, the specific heat S of water, which is the substance we're heating, is 4.186 joules per gram per Kelvin, or 4.186 joules per gram per degree Celsius. Now, again, in this type of problem, it's okay to use the degree Celsius form of this constant, okay? We're actually going to use the second form. If you wanted to use this first form, you could, but you don't have to, all right? Now, how did I know the number was 4.186? Well, this is a constant for water, so there's three ways you can know it. Either you're given it directly. If it's on homework or something, you can look it up in the table in a textbook or online, or you just have to memorize it. But this is actually a very useful number to have memorized. Okay, this is our specific heat of water. The mass of water we're heating is 50 grams, and we're heating this water from 25 degrees Celsius to 85 degrees Celsius. And this is going to be the simplest kind of heat capacity problem because we're just solving for heat. So it's really just a plug and chug kind of a problem. Just plug the numbers in. So here's where we solve. Q is equal to Sm times delta T, or in parentheses, T2 minus T1. Make sure to keep these parentheses here around the T's. Let's plug in the S for specific heat. That's going to be 4.186 joules per gram per degree Celsius. This is multiplied by the mass, times 50 grams. And then again, in parentheses here, make sure to do this because we're subtracting. It's the second temperature, so the final one, 85 degrees Celsius, minus the initial temperature, 25 degrees Celsius. Again, this subtracts to 60 degrees Celsius. So 60 degrees Celsius, that is actually our temperature change. Okay? Now, before we multiply this out, we should notice a couple of things. First of all, I have degrees Celsius here in the denominator, and here's degrees Celsius, so those actually cancel. Grams here in the denominator cancel with these grams right here in the mass. And so the only units I'm left with are joules. So therefore my heat, Q, is going to be in units of joules. And when I multiply these numbers out, I get that the heat required to achieve this temperature change is 12,558 joules. All right, and I'm actually going to convert this to kilojoules, so this would actually be 12.6 kilojoules. If you're wondering how I determined that, if I'm going between joules to kilojoules, I need to divide the number of joules by 1,000. If I divide this number by 1,000, that gives me 12.6. and now the heat is 12.6 kilojoules. And notice I also have 3 significant digits here because my smallest number of significant digits is 50.0, which is 3. Right? So the heat required to achieve this temperature change is 12.6 kilojoules. Now that's good and all, but what if you have the type of problem where instead of giving the mass as a mass, they just give it as a volume? So now instead of 50 grams, we're going to rework the same problem, but what if instead they give you the volume of water, 50 mils, okay, 50 milliliters? Well, to do that, you basically have to use the density formula. Okay, and you have to know the density of whatever substance you're dealing with. If it's water, it's always safe to assume in these general chemistry problems that the density of water is 1.00 grams per milliliter. All right? We also should know that the density formula is mass divided by volume. Okay? Now, we know the density of water. We know its volume here in the second problem, 50 milliliters. So we want to determine its mass so we can plug into QSMAD. So if I solve this equation of density for mass, that involves multiplying both sides here by volume to cancel it on the right side. So mass over volume, density times volume. And that ultimately gives me density times volume is equal to mass. Now this is kind of trivial, but the density was 1.00 grams per mil. The volume is 50 milliliters. So that's going to give me a mass of 50 grams. Now, again, that's kind of trivial because the density of water is exactly 1. If you do have a substance that's not water, let's say ethanol or something, then the number for the volume is going to be different than the number for the mass. They just happen to be the same here because the density is exactly 1. But doing this, I can then take that mass that I just found and plug it in with exactly the same information that I used in the first problem. Okay? And I'm going to get exactly the same result because all the temperature changes are the same and the specific heat's the same. Okay, so I just wanted to show you there what would happen if instead of giving a mass of water or whatever substance, you're given a volume. In that case, you have to use that substance's density and you have to actually solve for the mass. You cannot directly plug in the volume here because this equation does not have a V. It has an M for mass. So use the density formula, find the mass given the volume and the density, and then plug that in as normal and solve for Q. Okay, and again, you would get the same answer in this second case. All right, so hopefully this gave you a good understanding of this heat capacity problem. This was the easy case. This is where we just have a simple plug and chug kind of problem because we know SM and delta T. But what happens, as we'll see in the next video, what happens if instead of trying to find Q, we actually know Q and we're solving for either SM or one of these temperatures? Well, it turns out that's going to be a more complicated problem that's going to require some algebra. We'll do that in the next video, so join us then. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for future videos and notifications. Thank you very much.